In my story, I went through a series of heart-wrenching betrayals but ultimately found true love. I witnessed my wife having lunch with her ex-boyfriend. Sowing the seeds of suspicion, I discovered my wife conspiring with her old flame to blackmail me. I married a woman who seemed perfect, only to find out she was unfaithful to me. Each betrayal caused me immense pain, but these experiences also taught me how to recognize true love. Until finally, I realized that the friend who had always been by my side was my true soulmate. Welcome to the Love and Betrayed Love channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. I recognized him the moment I saw him. Ryan Mitchell, Lisa's ex-boyfriend from college 23 years ago, was sitting with her for lunch. He's a Brotherhood member for life. I didn't like him then and I still don't. She did not mention that she was having lunch with someone. I left for work this morning. I assumed it would be a normal weekday for both of us. My name is Jake Thompson. Everyone refers to me as the copier specialist, although I do not repair them. I obtained this moniker many years ago when Xerox was the industry standard. Today, I take care of almost every form of office equipment. I'm not delighted with this job, but it paid off the mortgage and allowed my two daughters to graduate from college. Monday is my regular day in Harrisburg, but things can change. The American insurance company in Allentown needed me urgently. I didn't need my usual service truck, so I used the corporate automobile. I finished sooner than expected and decided to go to Outback for a bite to eat. She didn't see me enter or leave. I found Lisa's yellow Mustang in the parking lot and waited for them to go. The white company automobile was unobtrusive, so it was simple for me to follow. It was a tiny ranch home. Lisa parked in front of the house on the street while he parked his BMW in the garage. They stepped out of their automobiles and spoke for a few minutes in front of the house. She was happy and laughing. She occasionally shook her head indicating no, but did so with a smile. I parked halfway down the street, but I had a nice view. Finally she kissed him on the cheek and returned to her car as he entered the front door. He paused a bit before waving, and that's when things went bad. Lisa opened the door to her car but did not enter. She paused. She sighed and looked back at the house. It seemed like a long time, although it was likely only a few seconds. I watched in curiosity as she removed her wedding rings and placed them on the front seat console. She had hesitated again before removing her earrings. It turned out to be the diamond earrings I gave her on her previous birthday. They also went on the console along with her phone. She gently approached the front door and knocked. I wasn't very good with confrontations, so I resolved not to do anything foolish. I slowly approached the car, removed everything off the center console, and drove home to read. In less than an hour I quit my work and exhausted my financial account. 2 hours later I was in Frackville sipping beer with my brother, Kevin. I left her rings, earrings and phone on the kitchen table with no message or explanation. I was convinced she could figure it out. I spent the next few days with Kevin and his wife attempting to drink all of the Yingling in Schuylkill County. By Friday morning I was in Real-ife at the Franklin Riding Institute. 3 months later I finished all of my training and internship requirements and became a fully certified truck driver. I had little trouble landing a position with Franklin National Gas Refrigerated Division, which offered me a fixed salary and a brand new truck to operate. Shortly after leaving, I contacted my eldest daughter, Laura. I told what had happened and was given a 5-minute lecture on how insensitive and inattentive I was. Since then I haven't contacted any of my daughters. I purchased a new cell phone. I'm not going to bore you with the huge complexities of interstate transportation due to government restrictions and company practices. It was quite oppressive and yet I persevered. I was pleased if a little lonely for the next 2 years. I was able to save the majority of my earnings. My demands and expenses were low. I visited my brother several times but never stayed overnight. Mercy never contacted my brother and he had no idea about her situation. I quickly figured out how to make the most of my time on the road. I participated in a variety of programs. Free dance, laundromats and gyms much easier. I met Sarah Evans and Emily OK. She was cursing like a sailor. She attempted to purchase gas with a failing credit card. As a gentleman, I inquired if I might assist and was swiftly told to mind my own business and go to hell. 10 minutes later, I had just begun to eat a chicken fillet sandwich when she arrived at my table. Sorry for acting like a jerk out there. Things aren't going well right now. It's just to blame you or anyone else. I simply glanced at her and nodded. I'm Sarah Jean Lenford. She offered her hand and I tentatively shook it in response. Jake. After a few minutes she spoke again. You volunteered to help and we were outside. Actually, I could need some assistance, since that offer's still good. What do you need? Would you spend $2 on one of those microwave burritos? I slid a $10 bill across the table. Go to the Chick-fil-A counter and order something decent. She took it without hesitation and proceeded to the counter. She reappeared 5 minutes later, carrying a tray and handing me 3 bills and some change. It took her twice as long as it should to eat. She was a chatty person. I finished my lunch and sat there observing her. It was, to say the least, mesmerizing. Her voice was not awful, but it was consistent. She didn't say anything significant, simply chattered away. Surprisingly, I did not find it annoying. In reality, it was quite the contrary. Waitresses were the only women I had spoken with in the previous 3 years. I found myself smiling at the ridiculous things she said when she finished. She combined her tray with mine to clear the table. So Jake, where are you heading? Provo. Okay. Good. Can I come with you? How about your car? A quick glance revealed that it was still at the gas station. I don't think that will work. Will not work without gas. She did not respond to me. I finally got up and went to my pickup. Sarah Jean followed me as if I had accepted her proposal. I opened the passenger door and she got in. She did not have any clothes or personal items. I don't know what happened to the abandoned car. No, I cannot explain it. But later that day we went to the mall, where I purchased her a few items, jeans, tees, undergarments, and comfy footwear. It was good having someone to talk to. I mean, listen to Sarah Jean, and I never had sex and we were never close from the start. It was strictly platonic. She told me that her husband had died but did not go into detail. She didn't have any children and her parents were retired in Florida. I told her about my predicament with Lisa and she appeared interested. Sarah Jean dozed as I drove while I was asleep. She did laundry and kept herself busy. A truck halted my fuel purchases, covered her showers and occasional gym workouts as well as mine. It was a little odd at first, but after a few repetitions it fell into place. Nor Jean inquired why I hadn't attempted having sex with her. I didn't have a decent answer, so I just told her I thought of her as a sister. She didn't press the subject. Everything was fine for almost 9 months. The only issue that occurred was her categorical refusal to enter Pennsylvania on 2 separate occasions. I needed to drop her up in Hager to own and pick her up later. Then it all ended. I received a telegram from the Department of the Interior that appeared threatening. I was instructed to return as quickly as possible to speak with Pennsylvania State Police and a representative from the National Transportation Safety Board. Sarah Jean wasn't pleased. She didn't say anything to me in the last few hours before I dropped her off in Hagerstown. I agreed to pick her up the next day. Mr. Thompson, this is Detective Naranya with the Pennsylvania State Police, and this is Bill Fritz from the state. As if I should know what that was. You were in an office at the Franklin headquarters. I had a feeling it was a police questioning Mr. Terrell. Do you know this woman? Naranya passed a photograph of Sarah Jean across the table. Yes, that's Sarah Jeannie. She's my partner. She's been with me for more than 9 months. Why are you asking? Do you know anything about her? Only what she told me. She was married, but her spouse had died. She has no children. Her parents live in Florida. She says a lot but doesn't reveal much, if you know what I mean. Is there anything strange you've noticed? Yes, I had. She does not like mayonnaise. She despises country and western music. She loves butter, bean ice cream. We mean in terms of personality. Will Fitz attempt to interject so? She refuses to enter the state of Pennsylvania. When I have a job that needs me to travel to or through Pennsylvania, she wants me to drop her off somewhere. I'll fetch her up later. Is that what you meant exactly? Could one of you fellas please explain what I'm doing here and what you're attempting to accomplish? Sarah Jean is a good friend of mine and I do not want to embarrass her, especially when I'm not sure why Bill Fitz came in closer and inquired. Where is she now? I do not know. I left her at Love's in Hagerstown. Fitz instantly exited the room. Naranya served me a cup of coffee. Sarah Jean is suspected of murdering 6 people. 5 of them were truckers. Her first priority was her marriage. We were puzzled because you are still alive. That is ridiculous. It is a fact, Mr. Terrell. It took some time to connect all the dots, but that is what occurred. All 6 died immediately after having sex with Sarah Jeannie. The FBI's crime lab was able to collect and compare data from several hundred potential crime sites. 6 of them matched. Sarah Jean was the common factor. But I am still alive. Correct. And there have been no fatalities in the last 9 months. Aside from the fact that you've never slept with her, we're not sure why she stopped killing. How did she kill them? She appears to have administered sleeping drugs or sedatives before placing a plastic bag over their heads. She even tagged the bags with her fingerprints. Are they all 6? Yes, there could have been more than 6. But that is all we know at this point. No. Fitz returned to the room. She's gone. She was caught by surveillance cameras earlier today, but she's not present now. How do you know she was with me? We spent hundreds of hours studying CCTV footage from service centers for practically every image we discovered. You were there. Of course. It took some time to determine who you were. We were concerned that you might be engaged with her. So now you are clear. By the way, your wife is excited to hear from you. How did you know that was the first location we went to look for you? We had no notion. You were separated. I apologize if I made a mistake. She currently lives in Westchester with her parents. Could I go? Yes, I need to deliver my load first. Is it a bad idea for me to return to Hagerstown? Possibly. However, we cannot stop you. We'll be looking for her and you might help us find her if you get what I mean. Are you suggesting that by hunting for her, I may unwittingly expose her? That is correct. No, I did not contact Lisa or either of my daughters. I was still upset by her infidelity and my daughter's reactions. I did not return to Hagerstown after leaving Pennsylvania. I wanted to, but I didn't want to take the chance for my friend's sake. 3 months later, Detective Nana contacted me. Jake, that's alright. I just wanted to let you know that she struck again. This time it was in Pennsylvania. Sorry to hear this. Was it another trucker? No, this time it was a regular guy. Ryan Mitchell was from Old Town. Story 2. The toilet seat was up. I stood there staring at it wondering if it meant what I assumed it did. My wife Julia has an issue with this. If I leave it like that, she will throw a fit. So I sat down when I'd done my thing. I had just returned home from a 3-day excursion with a customer from another city. 2 hours and a few beers on the plane. Then I spent another hour in gridlock before arriving home at 9 p.m. After a quick hug and kiss with Julia, I went straight to the bedroom bathroom to make my discovery. Julia is my second wife. Some call her my trophy wife. She's a beautiful 5'2" tall and built like a Playboy model. She is 20 years younger than me at 48 and is a really cheerful and kind person. I divorced my first wife because I discovered she was cheating on me, and my background likely makes me cautious. Also, being a lawyer, I witnessed some of the ugliest sides of people. I had no other cause to suspect Julia of cheating. Our sex life was good, or so I thought, and I never saw any difference in her attitude toward me. But as I previously stated, as a lawyer, my firm is enormous and I am the managing partner, which means I make a lot of money. This happened while I was in the first or second year of junior high school. I think I was about 13 years old. I grew up in the countryside. Julia does not have to work. She only needs to appear gorgeous for me. We handle a variety of legal matters, with each partner specializing in a specific area. So I'd like to speak with our person who deals with domestic matters, including divorce. Once burned, I had him draft an unbreakable prenuptial agreement. Yes, I was really well protected. He agreed that if we could establish infidelity, she would be done, for I adore this girl. But I'm not going to become a cuck in my own home. So we put things into motion. We engage a private organization to perform investigations ranging from insurance fraud to marital infidelity. A few days later it was reported that Julia had met a young man for lunch and driven to a local motel for a few hours. The detectives were unable to identify him or determine what occurred in the motel room. A few days later a similar performance was held at another restaurant and motel. The next week I had a two-day visit with a customer in another city. According to the report, the young man arrived at my place about an hour after I departed and stayed the night. This time they obtained his identifier through the car registration. It turns out that he was her high school sweetheart. I guess she never truly grew up. In any case, my people came over, connected recording devices to the phones, set video recorders in all the areas where the cheaters were likely to play, and even placed a microphone in the marital bed's headboard. 2 weeks later I left town on another two-day trip. When I returned, the investigators had a lot from me. All video and audio recordings are time-stamped and dated. He arrived in the evening, parked in my driveway, used his key and entered through the front door. He didn't even need to ring the bell. She gave him a key. She approached him in the corridor wearing a garter belt, high stockings and high heels. There's nothing else. She looked lovely, sexy and very appealing. That is why I married her, but now it was for somebody else. She fell into his arms, wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him. Her body crushed against him. His hands gripped her buttocks and they stood there for a few minutes, simply tasting each other. She knelt down in a panic, unbuckled his belt, pulled down his zipper, removed his pants and underwear and took him. I noticed her cheeks grow and she swallowed him whole. Now I understood why she felt so good in bed with me. She took his hand and led him into the living room, where they kissed again soon. She was seated on the sofa's edge and he was on his knees before her, burying his face in her lap. He must have been pretty good. She exploded twice and he turned her around, bent her over the couch and proceeded. She was attracted and he was a stud. It was time to take a break while she made martinis. He had completed undressing. They sat naked drinking and talking about their plans. They intended to flee together but didn't have the funds. I had given her numerous exquisite pieces of jewelry totaling more than 1 million, but they were in our bank safe and she couldn't get to them without me. I, on the other hand, could access the safe without her, Julia commented. I know how we can get a lot of money from my husband. How real he kidnapped me. What fake it how in a few weeks we'll attend a large wedding. He'll want me to look my best, complete with all of my jewelry. He enjoys bragging about me at wedding receptions. I'll disappear with all of my jewels. I'll board an aircraft and arrive in Rio de Janeiro early dawn. Meanwhile, you've left a ransom note demanding 5 million for my safe return. Once you have the money, you can join me in Rio. The stupid fool accepted this idea and resumed having sex. He put her in positions I'd never considered, let alone right on the stairs and then in the bedroom. The sounds she produced were fantastic. Yes, indeed. Harder. I love you more. Make me your baby. This guy acted in ways that I never could. But this did not excuse her behavior. I was determined to make them pay for it. All of her jewelry was custom crafted and I had replicas created of each piece using false metals and non-precious stones. I understand how insurance works and did not want to take any risks. When the wedding came, I handed her the false jewels. She didn't notice the difference. She disappeared as planned and traveled to Rio. I was pleased to let her go as far as I knew she carried almost no money with her. Just some change to cover pocket costs. I canceled all of her credit cards and closed our bank accounts. I don't know if she had enough money to stay at a hotel. When you attempted to collect the ransom, the cops were waiting for him. He received a 5-year sentence for attempted extortion. He should have lowered the toilet seat. Here's the next story. I worked hard hours to have things in order for my tea vacation. My assistant inquired if I was prepared for my big day, and I welcomed her proposal to leave after Wednesday for a Saturday wedding. This allowed me time to unwind at the bar before getting into wedding preparations on Thursday and Friday. I was relieved that we were keeping the wedding small. Jennifer became one of my best friends after I hired her at Personal Wealth Financial about 10 years ago. Despite being ill, I remember her first interview vividly. She persevered and impressed me with her personality. During the second interview, she was not conventionally gorgeous, but her confident demeanor shone through. I chose to relax at my favorite bar and had a light meal. Lisa, the bartender, felt like a second mother to me. A confidant and kind friend. Her inner beauty shone through, despite the hardship she had to endure. The bar was quiet, with the traditional smell of fried food and a relaxing environment. Lisa welcomed me pleasantly. She teased me about my wedding and I observed a beautiful woman sitting alone nearby. Feeling friendly, I decided to start a discussion. Hi, her brow furrowed and she cast me a doubtful look. You don't appear inebriated. I replied with a raised eyebrow. That's an interesting way to say hello. No, I am not inebriated. The bartender said you were 3 sheets to the wind. I understood that to mean you were intoxicated. I laughed and explained, oh, that's simply Lisa's nickname. For me it is not 3 sheets. It's 3 sheets. Wonderful, another guy who can't hold it together. She bit her lip even harder and the scowl on her face indicated that this was a personal matter for her. Just as I was going to react, Lisa reappeared with my beer and jumped in to assist. Ron is one of the nicest and most loyal individuals I've ever known. Sure, he isn't the one that cheats. Her face dropped and her lips began to shake. I apologize. It appeared that she was about to cry, so I swiftly extended my hand to her, hoping to keep the tears from falling. That is all right, Ron. She shook my hand hastily, almost as if she was uneasy with physical interaction. Actually, I should apologize. You can call me Daniel. I've been cheated on many times, or simply Amanda for short. Nice to meet you, Amanda, for short. My fault, is this a sensitive topic? With my stupid joke, her expression brightened slightly. I was happy to see her mood improve, because I did not want to make her weep. Yeah, it's a touchy subject, but I have a feeling your 3 cheat stories are pretty interesting. Maybe, but I'm not sure if you would like to hear it. Come on. Lisa wanted you to share your tale with her. It's intriguing. Amanda gave me a playful pout. Please. It appears like I don't have much of a choice. Do I not really? They both responded together. All right. Let's see. Where do I begin? Expectations and reality do not always correspond. I realized my marriage was finished before our first anniversary, which harmed my self-esteem more than my sentiments. My first date with Heather happened during our senior year of high school. At 18, I was innocent. although Heather was far from it. We met through common friends and eventually got together. My friends pushed me to pursue her, mocking me about the need for a true partner who was open to intimacy. Despite my initial opposition, I contemplated Heather, who had showed an interest in me. Although gorgeous, she appeared to be interested in anyone available, which was not what I was looking for. I liked Courtney, my best friend, who was a girl next door, her mom, that I find attractive. Ideally, I wanted Courtney and I to be each other's first lovers. Her strong ideals and our common church background intrigued me. However, my teenage hormones were tearing down my defenses. Let's be honest, I was excited to hook up. Heather approached me at Ted's party as if she was on a mission. She approached confidently, telling suggestive jokes that caught me off guard. Despite my nervousness, our conversation was pleasant, setting the stage for what was to follow. Within an hour, Heather and I were kissing, and by midnight passion had taken over. Courtney swiftly figured out, looked hurt, and accepted my new course. A few weeks later she began visiting Mark, our team center. I joked about their relationship, but neither was amused, leaving me embarrassed and guilty. Drifting away from Aubrey and Mark became unavoidable as I sought entertainment elsewhere. Heather and I dated throughout the school year and summer, discovering each other's hobbies. I formed feelings for her. Despite our plans to attend different colleges, we decided not to be exclusive, so we met anytime we were home. During my first 2 years of college, my hormones and party instincts ruled me. Heather and I connected and returned home without discussing what had transpired while we were away. I compared every lady to Heather, missing her more each time and looking forward to our next strenuous. Regardless of the distance, my feelings for her grew by junior year. I had matured, taken on more responsibilities, and grown tired of my hollow lifestyle. I remained intimate with Heather and anticipated proposing before our senior year. I needed to know how Heather felt about our relationship. I admitted my crazy behavior with other girls in college, but I always loved her. She acknowledged to seeing a few guys, but always preferred to be with me. I proposed and she gladly agreed. After making love, we talked about our future as she was relieved that I didn't want to marry until our senior year. This practical approach disturbed me slightly, but I dismissed it. However, suspicions about her trustworthiness persisted, intensifying with time. Heather went into real estate after graduation, while I started at personal wealth financial planning. We got married in December, and I sought to reconnect with my childhood beliefs, but Heather had little interest in spirituality. Living together exposed more of her actual nature. The first inkling of problems came when Heather insisted on cutting our honeymoon short to attend a New Year's Eve party with her college buddies. Heather interacted and chatted with everyone at the party, frequently disappearing out of sight as her pals kept me entertained. I had to transport an extremely inebriated Misty from the automobile to our following the party. She apologized for her behavior, which I decided to overlook. However, during the next year, her frequent evening appointments, lack of transparency about her work and life, and preference for her friends over me left me feeling alienated. Despite being married for less than a year, I frequently felt very alone. When another New Year's Eve celebration rolled around, I decided to attend discreetly to find out what Heather did with her buddies while pretending to be sick. I stayed at home, which appeared to ease Heather. After a few hours, I arrived at the party at 10 and maintained a low profile. I soon noticed Heather surrounded by 6 guys kissing her. She then escorted one of them into a hallway with little practice rooms, while the others waited determined to discover what was happening across the room. Heather's friend Amy attempted to stop me, but I pushed past her. Heather and the guy were making out and undressing in the practice room. When I arrived, I wanted to rush in and confront them, but instead I silently snapped a few images with my phone and went home at the flat. I printed one of the images and placed it on the table next to my wedding ring. I bought enough clothes for a week and checked into a hotel. Sitting alone in the room felt weird, but I had finally found answers to my disturbing issues. For a few days I remained in the dark until I discovered a modest furnished apartment. Then I called her to schedule a time to talk. She was frantic, but I stayed firm. That evening I went over to explain the problem. I recognized our relationship had never been proper, as I felt primarily empty, with wrath and bruised pride. Discovering the real Heather reaffirmed my suspicions. I remembered a chat I had with my father years ago about love and relationships. I wondered how I'd know when I'd found the appropriate person. His advice resonated in my head. Everyone experiences it differently. Maybe when you kiss her, your knees weaken or you sense a spark of lightning. It could manifest in various ways, but you'll know I don't recall ever felt such confidence with Heather. Despite how powerful our kisses were, I realized they were only physical. I never felt the strong connection that my father mentioned, to my astonishment. I was okay, even though her acts continued to disappoint me. I was coping well. At 700, I strolled into the flat without knocking. Heather sat at the kitchen table looking at the photograph in my wedding ring. She greeted me with a resigned tone, as if she knew what was going to happen. "We are done, aren't we?" I sat across from her. "Yes, are you going to yell? Become furious or something?" "Why should I? I would, Heather. It appears like I've finally seen the real you. Honestly, we are a good match. What is further evident to me now is that I do not believe I ever truly loved you as a married pair should. I don't believe you loved me that way either. Let me conclude this: keep things simple and move on. Sounds good." I was startled at her lack of feeling. She simply shrugged, which said louder than her subsequent words. "I guess I wasn't really prepared for marriage. I wanted to be ready. You're the type of guy I'd like to settle down with, and I wanted to be the wife you desired." I truly did. But you're correct. I suppose it's simply not me back at the bar today. Amanda appeared to be lost in contemplation as I finished talking about Heather. "Wow, it appears like you dodged a huge problem by learning the truth early in your marriage." I did not understand my marriage was a sham until 14 years later. Please don't take this the wrong way. You're a stunning woman, but I can see the sorrow in your face when you talk about. It appears that finding out the truth, no matter when it occurs, can be extremely traumatic. At least you can move forward, maybe a little wiser. With my elbow against the bar, I placed my head on my hand and gazed into her eyes. "I have a sense. I need to hear your tale too. I'm getting better, but certainly I'll tell you my story sometime. We're only one sheet into your story, and I'd like to hear everything if you want it is worth sharing." It ended much better than it began, so maybe that gives you some hope. Amanda looked aside for a minute, immersed in concentration. "Are you still in touch with Heather sometimes?" After our divorce, she was diagnosed with Ms. It certainly helped her mature quickly. She's doing well now and has found a lovely boyfriend. They appear to be quite good for one another. You're not one of those people that enjoys seeing their ex struggle, are you? No, definitely not. I would not wish anything like this on anyone. We still have positive sentiments for Heather. We truly did conclude things on a good note. So who is the next character in your story? I couldn't help laughing. Number 2. That pretty much sums up my experience with Isabella. I met Isabella at a farewell party for my friends AUY and Mark, who were relocating to Dallas for Mark's new VP position. When Isabella stepped into the Hyatt ballroom, she captured everyone's attention with her gorgeous demeanor. Her beauty was unmistakable, and I later discovered she had graced the cover of Maxim the year before. Most of the men at the party were married, and their wives rapidly erected protective barriers around them. As one of the few single men, I sensed Isabella's attention locked on mine. She approached me and introduced herself with a stunning grin and a handshake that sent thrills down my spine. We hit it off right away. Isabella was intelligent and entertaining, and our chat flowed seamlessly. The party was winding down. We planned to meet again the next evening. She left early, allowing me to catch up with Aubrey and Mark. Courtney, still as gorgeous and pure as in high school, welcomed me with a faint scowl. "Hey, Casanova. Did Isabella snag you? We got along fairly well." "Why, just take care, Mark. And I care deeply about you and do not want to see you hurt again. She appears harmless and I genuinely like her. Ron, I care about you too. Open your eyes. You're sliding into the same old habits." Courtney's talk hurt me slightly. How could she believe I didn't know what I was doing? "I will be okay. We have just met. I'm not rushing into anything serious just yet." "All right. I mean, she is intelligent and successful, so she has a lot going for her. Just promise me that you'll be vigilant. Protect your heart. You have a nice heart and you're a fantastic man. You deserve someone who is actually suitable for you." I wanted to answer, but the words would not come. I wanted to say I'd already found that person, but I let her leave. Isabella and I got close quickly. We appeared to agree on all the major issues in life. We quickly got intimate and 6 months later we were married. I made it plain that I valued loyalty and she appeared to agree. She seemed to share my commitment to faith, so I assumed we had what it took to last forever. She owned a modest modeling business and maintained a healthy work-life balance. Our wedding was simple and we began our lives together with a sense of excitement. Our home life was comfortable and fulfilling and our bedtime was lovely. Isabel never gave me reason to question her dedication or our marriage after 3 joyful years of marriage. We discussed having children. She appeared thrilled about it, but I noted she didn't follow the appropriate steps, such as ceasing her birth control, despite her promise to do so. Regardless, I felt as if I had struck gold with Isabella in my life. Everything looked to be going well in my life. The situation deteriorated. On a dark, rainy Monday, I faced one of the worst days of my life. Courtney called me in the workplace early that morning. She rarely contacted me at work, and her tone made it plain that something was wrong. "Courtney, what is going on? I don't want you to be concerned, but I just wanted to let you know. Mark has leukemia." "Oh my God. Have you just found out?" "I just returned from the doctor's office. He stated that there are numerous treatments accessible presently. I hope he's correct." "Are you okay?" She sighed and I could hear her attempting to steady herself. "Yeah." The doctor seemed optimistic. "It is a great shock. Mark has been feeling fatigued lately, but we weren't expecting this." "Mark, he's acting like everything's all right, but I can tell he's really struggling. Keep us in your thoughts, please." She attempted to sound positive, but I knew her too well. She was suppressing her deepest dread and grief. I wished I could soothe them, but I couldn't. We used to talk once a month, but I decided to start calling weekly. She needed me, even though she was so far away. After our call ended, I felt a strong sense of melancholy rush over me. I glanced out my office window at the dreary rainy surroundings filled with dread. As I processed this news, Jennifer, another close friend, entered my office discreetly and locked the door. Her face was crimson and teary, leading me to believe she had heard about Mark and Courtney. But I was mistaken. "Ron, you know I care about you and do not want to hurt you. Right now. You are terrifying me. What is wrong?" "I've been worried all weekend about this, but you should know. On Saturday my husband and I went out to celebrate our anniversary with supper and dancing. We proceeded to the jazz club downtown and she burst into tears. I began to panic trying to figure out what she was going to say. Then it struck me. Isabella was meant to attend a meeting in Portland on Saturday and stayed the night. What is going on? Mel, your wife was in the club with another guy and I took some pictures. I'm so sorry, Ron. The photographs were sexual, with them touching under the table, dancing close and kissing passionately. I was overcome with weeping first. Mark and Courtney's terrible news disturbed me, and now Isabella's betrayal was destroying me. Vicky hugged me and again apologized. I eventually calmed down enough to thank her and apologize for how Isabella had destroyed their weekend. Jennifer sent me the images and I copied out the more explicit ones for later that night. The man in the images was a model that Isabella managed. I stopped by the pub on my way home to gather my courage for the encounter. Lisa assisted me in relaxing and there were a few old football friends around. I later learned that they intended to face Isabella's lover. They followed him down and beat him up fairly brutally. I felt conflicted. Part of me was relieved. They did it. But I also felt bad about it. Waiting for Isabella to return home felt forever. My stomach was in knots and I alternated between wrath, hatred, regret, thoughts of forgiveness and pain when she eventually walked in. I was seated at the dining table ready with the images. She entered cheerfully. "Hi babe, babe." She attempted to kiss me, but I pushed her away. "Sit down now." She sat so rapidly that she almost missed the chair. "Ron, why are you speaking to me like this?" "I'm not sure. Should I speak to you differently?" I put out the photographs on the table. "What shall I say to you?" She became pale as she glanced at the first photograph. Her tears would have moved me a day earlier, but today they only made me angry. "So what part of faithfulness did you miss?" "Ron, what are you going to say?" "It's just an act." "It signifies nothing. You only love me. What can you possibly say to correct this?" "Please do not hate me. Take some time to chill off. I will never do this again." "How often have you been with this guy? What about the other guys?" "I cannot believe you would betray me in this way, especially knowing what happened to Haley. You simply don't understand. Someone like me understand my rage was at its pinnacle." I grabbed her by the back of her neck, pushed her face close to mine and yelled at her. "I know exactly what you are. I would refer to you as a pig, but it would be an insult to pigs. You fooled me, didn't you? I bet you and your boyfriend had fun talking about me." As he was taking you away from me, I pushed her away forcefully, frightened of what I might do next. Her dread was apparent, which both bothered and satisfied me. I couldn't stand looking at her, so I looked aside to gather my thoughts and attempt to relax. I do not believe I will ever comprehend a liar or a cheater. You completely fooled me and betrayed what I thought we shared. I didn't think I could be hurt this badly, but you did it. I see you exactly as you are now, and I know I'll never trust you again. I street drove around the room attempting to restrain my rage as she sobbed. "Gently, I want you out of the house tonight. My lawyer is already working on the divorce paperwork. The prenup is in effect, so you messed up there. You have 30 minutes to leave and we'll arrange the remainder of your belongings via SMS." I began to walk away, ignoring her loud sobs. I didn't care. "Ron, please. I only adore you. Please do not do this." I hesitated, still with my back to her, and gazed at the ground. "Love, I no longer love you. When I look at you today, I only see ugliness and nothing I want. And do not say you love me. Love does not do what you did. You only love yourself. Now get out before I return. Tell your guy to go far and fast." Back in the bar, Amanda paused before answering, taking note of my significant reaction. Despite her outward appearance of kindness and gentleness, Lisa said that betrayal may bring out the worst in everyone. I realized I probably went too far, but I stated that my outburst was a method for me to release and hurt Isabella without physically attacking her. I said everything to blow off steam and possibly teach her a lesson. However, it was unclear whether she would learn anything from it. Amanda inquired whether I had received closure or if we had parted ways amicably. We split ways, but not as friends. Isabella agreed to the divorce without much resistance. She moved her business to New York and I haven't heard from her since. Regarding her lover, he healed from his injuries, with the exception of a scar that hampered his modeling career. Surprisingly, Isabella was my only bias. The beating occurred 45 MES away while I was dealing with her at home. I initially felt a sense of justice, but it rapidly disappeared. However, he was a jerk, I did not want that to happen and I did not cause it. So that is two. It appears that you keep choosing the same types of women and expecting different results. I gave a sorrowful smile. You sound just like my pals. They've all tried to tell me the same thing. But I guess I'm a slow learner. Because I experienced something similar in my next relationship following Isabella seriously. Yeah. Unfortunately, as difficult as it was. I believe you will find it intriguing to learn how I discovered Samantha's cheating. My divorce was finalized in October 2016. I've decided to spend Thanksgiving with Aubrey and Mark in Dallas. Travel was difficult and I ended up sitting in the seated lounge for several hours. A lovely blonde woman sat across from me, agitated and talking on her phone. She was annoyed by flight delays and her mother's demanding attitude. I couldn't help but notice her lovely dimples as she spoke. She immediately ended her call, grumbled under her breath, and looked at me, assuming I was laughing at her. She confronted me. I apologized and explained that I thought her dimples appealing. She smiled, flushed and apologized for her outburst, explaining how her mother's attitude had contributed to her stress. Her phone called again, but she chose to ignore it, stating that she did not want to say something she would regret. I offered to buy her a drink to brighten her mood. She initially hesitated before introducing herself as Samantha or Sam. We got beverages and began getting to know each other. We talked for about 2 hours before my aircraft boarded. I was intrigued by Sam's charm and sense of humor. She wasn't a cover girl like Heather or Isabella, but she was stunningly beautiful. Her crooked smile and charming dimples made her irresistibly attractive, and her athletic build inspired me to get back in shape. I was nearly disappointed when the airline announced boarding. Sam resided in Redmond, which is near to my home in Kirkland. I inquired whether she was seeing someone and indicated an interest in taking her out to supper. She thought my approach daring but accepted and put a contact in for my phone. We hugged, and as she moved away, she inquired if I liked her dimples. I assured her that I didn't. She jokingly asked me not to be creepy. I promised that I was normal. I was only afraid I'd bore her. The flight felt incredible as I reflected on Sam and our prospective relationship. Everything seems to click between us. When I arrived in Dallas, Mark picked me up. He appeared healthy and conveyed the wonderful news that he was in remission. Mark is one of the truly decent guys, and I was pleased and relieved to hear that he was doing well. Mark and Courtney had 3 children and their home was full with love. It was everything I'd hoped for. Courtney prepared a delicious supper and lectured me on how to choose self-centered women over those with decent principles. I was curious about Sam's character if we ended up together. When Sam and I returned home, I contacted her expecting a brief conversation, but we ended up talking for 5 hours. At the end, I felt like I was floating on air. I realized I wanted to be with her. Our first date was at Matt's rotisserie in Oyster House. We spoke effortlessly, and I couldn't stop glancing into her eyes. I found myself immediately falling for her. After dessert, our chat turned into some light kissing, and just before we left, she gave me a deep, passionate kiss. She asked me over, but I recommended we take things slowly. Sam understood our jokes about the situation, and we decided to keep things calm by Christmas. Our love was evident, and we allowed our passions to take control. Being intimate with Sam was a challenging workout, which inspired me to make getting in shape my New Year's resolution. A few months later, Sam moved into my house, and we planned a small personal summer wedding, moving swiftly toward commitment. Sam and I stayed active with hiking, skiing, biking, jogging, and gym training. Fitbits and an app are helping us rack our fitness and make exercise more enjoyable. We were in the best shape of our lives. Our wedding, scheduled for the first Saturday in August, was simple, with 37 guests. Jennifer, my assistant, attended with her husband, and Courtney and Mark were scheduled to fly in. I was convinced that this was the proper time and anxiously awaited making Sam Mrs. Riley. As I stood beside the priest, I saw Jennifer smiling, but couldn't see Courtney or Mark. 2 hours into the reception, Courtney texted me that Mark's cancer had returned to his hospital. I shared the message with Sam, who agreed that I should contact Courtney. Aubrey attempted to sound hopeful, but her worry was palpable. Our honeymoon in Hawaii was great, and Sam's help made it even better. In mid-September, we went to see Mark and Aubrey in Dallas. Their children greeted me pleasantly. It was painful to watch Mark, who was once so robust, suddenly emaciated and feeble. I attempted to disguise my disbelief and pretended everything was normal. After dinner, Sam assisted Aubrey with the dishes and Mark escorted me to his study. He admitted that he did not believe he would overcome his condition and expressed concern for Courtney and the children. He asked me to commit to watch after them, and I agreed, assuring him of my support. Mark thanked me and said Sam looked terrific, wishing us a good life together. 2 weeks later, Mark died. The service and burial were held in Washington, where the family lived. Courtney and the kids stayed with us for several weeks while we attempted to help them get through this difficult time. Sam was excellent and stepped up as a partner during this difficult time. A few months later, Sam came to me with an idea. Jill, the gym's owner, was ready to retire and wanted to sell the gym and building for $2 million. Sam enjoyed her job at Microsoft. Her dream was to own a gym. She could handle the business expenses but needed assistance with the building's cost. I proposed we find a way to make it work, because I was well established and financially secure. I had been planning to form an LLC to invest in real estate because my portfolio had increased and I had the opportunity to pursue other opportunities. We proceeded with my LLC, Real-ife Investments. Sam formed a separate LLC in her name for the gym, and Real-ife Investments provided her with a line of credit to fund improvements and cover operational costs. In the early years, our accountant and lawyer handled the paperwork and everything went well with our new ventures. That night, after we finished all of the paperwork, Sam and I celebrated all weekend long. Microsoft offered Sam a high-paying consulting gig. We examined the pros and disadvantages, but we both concluded that the extra money would greatly benefit her finances. It rapidly became evident that the new firm would be a huge success. Sam had a lot on his plate between running the firm and dealing with Microsoft, not to mention occasional trips. She had the energy, but I had to assist out at the gym while she was out of town. We were delighted. This happened when I was in the first or second year of junior high school. I think I was about 13 years old. I grew up in the countryside and even discussed starting a family. Sam believed it would work if she ultimately resigned her Microsoft job just after our first in Erie. Sam had to travel to Atlanta for 3 days to assist with some software development. As usual, we called every night and recounted our activities. On the second night of her trip, she contacted me about 3 p.m. West Coast time or 6 p.m. Atlanta time. Hello, Sam, how was your day? Great. We've made a lot of progress, but there's still work to be done. I can't chat for long because some of the crew is about to continue working over dinner. Can I make things up to you tomorrow? Sure. I'm going to the gym tonight to check on things and see how the staff is doing. That sounds wonderful. Love you, babe. I love you too. I went to the gym and decided to out before checking in at the workplace. Everything was going good, so I stayed to lock up at 900. I considered calling Sam, but it was already after midnight where she was and she'd most likely had a busy day. I took a shower and considered killing time by playing a game on my iPad. Then I discovered the Fitbit app and decided to track my progress. When I launched the app, I felt a rush of panic. My stomach churned with sorrow as I watched my life unravel. Sam was working out, her Fitbit was active. Why would she exercise at nearly 1 a.m. her time? The more I looked, the more obvious it became what she was up to. I needed to call her. I dialed her phone, but it went directly to voicemail. She had a particular ringtone for me, So she knew I was calling. I tried trying, but it just went to voicemail. On my seventh effort, she finally responded, "Hey, is everything okay?" "No, it is not." "Are you hurt in the hospital or something hurt?" "Yes, severely." "Oh no? What happened?" "Who is the guy you are with?" "What exactly are you talking about?" "The guy you are with." "What is his name?" "What? I not tell me." "Sam, why Rye? How did you find out?" "Next time you cheat, take off your Fitbit." I ended the call, turned off my phone and tossed it across the room. I couldn't sleep, so I went for a stroll to relax but ended up crying for miles. I could not believe it was happening again. Why am I always ending up with unfaithful wives? When I arrived home, I had some things to complete. We kept our funds separate, although we did have a few joint accounts and credit cards to cover domestic needs. I moved funds from those accounts to mine and closed as many as I could online. I sent a late-night email to my lawyer requesting an appointment with a divorce attorney as soon as possible. The following day, I took the day off from work to sort things out. I had the divorce papers and prenup ready. I met with my accountant and lawyer to start the process of calling in the loan. I gave Sam for the gym. The loan contracts included a condition allowing me to demand the full amount with 60 days' notice. How could I have been so naive? How did she manage to deceive me? I was in a lot of agony and wanted her to feel it too. A part of me wanted to lash back at her and ruin her life. I hadn't spoken to Sam since the event, so I didn't know what her plans were for returning home. To make matters worse, I smashed my phone while throwing it, so I had to acquire a new one and instantly ban her number. I needed help, so I phoned Courtney. She calmed me down and advised me to take it easy on the revenge. She was my voice of reason when I didn't want one, and I swore to try to listen. I pondered stopping by the pub, but if Sam followed her original schedule, she'd be back soon. I wanted to confront her before she arrived home, but I wasn't quick enough. When I arrived home, I discovered Sam in tears. She ran up to hug me, but I pulled her away. "Sam, don't touch me. Oh, please. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me." "Sorry. That is not going to happen. Please do not abandon me. I do not want to lose you. Have we lost you?" "No, you threw us aside wrong. I was foolish. I thought, what were your thoughts? That you might get away with it, or that I don't care. Or you might betray our vows and face the consequences afterward. Or that disrespecting me and sleeping around won't matter. Did you believe it was worthwhile to risk my love and tear my heart apart? Did you believe there was someone better out there for you?" No, no, no. So what was going through your mind? Please tell me your excuse." "It was not really excusable. It was simply a silly flirtation. Dumb fling." "Seriously? How frequently do you do that? Are you hooking up with guys at the gym and sneaking around in the restroom?" "I don't see how you believed it was a legitimate excuse. I just thought, here you go again saying you thought things through if your problem was with your drive. I was always available for phone conversations. If you can't go even a few days without it, you've lost control. Please, Ron, let's attempt to get past this. Here's the deal. Honey, you allowed another guy, whom you have yet to name, to be intimate with you in a way that was intended solely for us. Do not tell me. It's your body. You can do whatever you want. Here's our body. We swear to remain true to one another till death. Well, our marriage ended as soon as you slept with him." She cried louder than I'd ever heard someone. I wanted to take pleasure in her pain, but it was also hurting me. "Calm down. Keep smiling and listen. You will receive the divorce paperwork soon." "No, please. No divorce. Please help me fix this. Listen up, the prenuptial agreements. Terms regarding infidelity are in place. You will not receive much. I am also calling in the loan. There's more than 35 euro left. You have 60 days to pay, or I will take the gym." "No, Ron. You will ruin me. I told him to be quiet and listen. I will not call in the debt if you agree to divorce. If you fight it, I'll go after everything. I do not care about money or the gym. I only want you. Please let us attempt to sort this out. No, Sam. You are aware of my tragic background with unfaithful women. You vowed not to do that to me. Yet a year later you did. I will never trust you again, especially after seeing how little you regard me. I understand what this would do. Damn it. Ron, I made a tremendous mistake. I am not flawless, and neither are you. Are you saying you've never considered being with another woman? I strained to remain calm, biting my lips so hard that I could taste blood. Yeah, none of us is flawless. We all have fantasies. The difference is that you took action on your own. I never would have. Please quit. Begging it is making me sick. But we had planned to start a family. What do you really believe? I would want our children to have a mother who thinks like you. Obviously you do. I want our kids to be nice, courteous, moral and loving. I do not want them to be affected by someone who is capable of doing what you did. She started crying loudly again and I didn't want to listen. I departed stating I'd return in a day or two, once we both had a chance to settle down. It was difficult to leave someone I loved, who was heartbroken and sobbing on the floor. At first I hoped she was as devastated as I was, but then I felt awful guilt for abandoning her like that. I needed to get out before I broke down myself. I did not want her to see me that way. After a few days I calmed down. We chatted and I agreed to go to counseling to see if we could work things out. I did not want to be a 3-time loser and I genuinely cared for her. I just wasn't sure if I'd ever feel like she was really my life partner again after 6 weeks of counseling. We were driving home from our final appointment and Sam was unusually quiet. I stared at her a couple times and noticed tears quietly rolling down her cheeks. Even though I am not the most perceptive guy, I knew that night was going to be a watershed moment. We strolled silently through the front door and Sam broke the silence. Can we sit down and talk? I need to tell you something. Sure. Babe. I assumed she wanted to sit next to me on the couch and avoid eye contact. Sam drew a big breath, collected herself and began her narrative. Growing up, I was really close to my father. I felt like his little princess and he was my hero. Just what a decent father should be. My sister and I would always cuddle with him on the couch while watching movies or simply hanging out after dinner. Even during my rebellious adolescent years, I had a deep bond with him. When I reached 16, I made a pledge at our church to remain innocent until marriage. I took that vow seriously and meant every word. When I was younger, our church would have similar gatherings. Yes, it was a thing. Then anyway, I started dating a guy in my Sunday school class. We'd been dating for nearly a year and he kept pushing me to get physical on my 18th birthday. I caved and Pandora's box was opened. I couldn't have enough. I understand how you are. Yeah. Anyway, everyone else in the family had to go out to a banquet one night, leaving my boyfriend and me home alone. Of course, we were naked before the family car pulled out of the driveway. We started fighting around 15 minutes later. And yes, I was riding him hard. I looked up and found my father standing in the doorway observing us. He'd forgotten his insulin and had returned to fetch it. He appeared to want to say something, but instead he simply walked away. I hastily covered myself and tried to catch up with him, but I had no idea what to say. Just as he walked through the front door, he turned to me, tears in his eyes. I felt as if I had been struck by lightning. I was frozen. He said calmly, "You're an adult now and can make your own decisions." And then he departed. He appeared unconcerned about it. Not really. I seriously hurt him. His eyes changed and it devastated my heart after that night. Until he died. Before, when he looked at me, his eyes were filled with love. They used to glitter. But after that night that expression was gone. When he stared at me, I felt like he just saw me and my partner. something no father should have to testify. Sam's face was filled with sadness and pain. As she discussed her past, I felt a shudder run down my spine as I realized why she had to share this awful experience with me. I wanted to say something, but I let her speak. Following that, we never cuddled again. We hugged when we said hello or goodbye, but the particular relationship between Daddy and Princess had vanished. We still loved one another, but only as father and daughter. From then on, she took a moment to collect herself and I hugged her to both soothe her and demonstrate that I understood. Ron, when you look at me, I feel the same hurt in your eyes that my father felt. You're probably seeing me with another man reliving my betrayal. I know you want to forget it and go back to how things were before I screwed up, but it's difficult for you to let go. I apologize. I'm not holding on to this to get back at you or anything. I still love you. I know you do, but that expression will always be there. You'll not be able to completely trust me, no matter how much you want to. Even if I do everything well, I will remain faithful. You will always have that doubt in your head. A cheater who has cheated before will continue to cheat. There is nothing we can do to rectify it. I ruined all we had, and we can't go back. So you think we should just give up? I believe you deserve to be with someone you can entirely trust, and I want to find someone who looks at me the way you did before my faults. We must each proceed on our own back at the bar. Amanda was emotional, with silent tears flowing down her cheeks. I had shed a few tears myself, simply thinking about that dreadful period. After I left Sam at home, I visited the pub. Lisa could sense something was wrong simply by looking at me. Lisa wiped her own tears as she recounted the night. I saw him walking. I sensed he was about to break down. I instructed Pete to protect the bar and led Ron into the office. As soon as the door closed, he came into my arms and wept his heart out. Amanda stared at her beer. I understand how you feel. I understand your anguish. Lisa reassured me and spoke with me for hours. She finally got me to chuckle, and that's when she told me my nickname, 3 Sheets for the Wind. Yes, Lisa said. I assured him that he would get through this and eventually be able to let go of the anguish, just as he had before. He pledged to never put himself in such predicament again. I knew him well enough to know he would not be alone forever, but I felt he needed time to heal. Amanda put her hand on mine and smiled slightly. You look good right now. Actually, you look fantastic. You give me hope. I just relocated here for a fresh start, and it seems Providence brought us together so you could tell your story. You appear joyful today. I eventually realized I was repeating the same mistakes over and over. It began in high school, when I prioritized connection, appearance, and certainly overshared ideals and respect. I had the perfect woman, but let her go, always chasing wrong things. You were thinking of Aubrey. I closed my eyes and smiled. Yes, it took me a few months to be ready to move on from Sam, but I knew the woman I wanted and needed was the one who had always been my closest friend. So you go to Dallas and won her over. Lisa smiled and gently tapped the bar. You'd think he would do something simple like that. But no, Ron is a genius. I also managed to mess it up. Thank you, Mama. Lisa. Amanda's expression was mournful, as if she were watching a catastrophe happen. You didn't pursue Courtney. Of course I did, but I was concerned because I wasn't sure if she was ready to move on after Mark's death. We continued in touch and I was trying to figure out the best time to tell her how I felt. Lisa was my sounding board. I was going to tell Lisa that I had tickets to fly to visit Courtney. I planned to propose when I arrived. So what happened? 4 weeks ago, I awoke after a night of little sleep. Actually, I suppose you can't get up if you've never slept, but I sat up with renewed determination. I tossed and turned all night, and around 3 a.m. I resolved to travel to Dallas and tell Courtney how I felt if everything went to plan. I had returned home engaged to the woman I had always wanted. After making that decision, I couldn't sleep because I was torn between fear and exhilaration. I was a wreck, but I was eager to find out whether she felt the same way. It was Friday morning and I needed to complete some work. So I went to the office and worked hard to finish everything. I also managed to purchase a plane ticket for the following day to Dallas. It took longer than expected to complete my chores, but I was done by 4 p.m. and proceeded to the pub to discuss my plans with Lisa. 3 Cheetahs Run. You are early today. I know I can't stay for long, but I wanted to let you know that I finally chose to go see Courtney. I need to tell her how I feel. Well, you don't listen. I have to get ready. I want to go to the jewelry store and make sure I have a ring to present her. Run, Lisa. Listen. Thank you for all of your help. I could not. Ron, please stop talking and listen. I need to deliver these drinks. However, if you turn around and check in the restroom cubicle, you may discover that you do not need to travel to Dallas. What do you mean? Simply look over there. I will be right back. I glanced around and my heart skipped a beat before sinking. I saw enough of her profile to recognize Courtney. She was sitting with a man who held his hand across the table. They smiled at each other as if they were in love. The agony in my gut was severe. I hastily exited the bar to avoid causing a commotion and threw up in the bushes near the front door. I was shocked. My mind was disorganized and I couldn't think clearly. I turned off the phone and drove aimlessly. I feel sorry for myself. I just kept driving till the tears obscured my vision. I realized I drove all the way to West Seattle, so I stopped at Ailey Beach for a while. My eyes were burning by the time I parked. I sat there crying like a baby, after regaining control. I walked along the beach and sat down to watch the sun set over the lake. My mind was racing with ideas, yet I was able to concentrate and felt completely lost. It was nearly late when I finally went home. I showered, dressed and drove to work at 1 a.m., intending to divert myself. It was the middle of the night on a Saturday, so I knew I'd be alone during the day, which was just what I wanted. After canceling my ticket, I didn't accomplish anything. I managed to get a few hours of sleep on the couch in my office, before spending the rest of the time sitting in my desk chair, staring out the window, unable to sort things out. Should I let her leave? Should I fight for her? I couldn't determine which way to go. Around 2 p.m., I finally went to the pub to look for Lisa. I realized I had gone the night before without speaking to her, after she warned me that Aubrey was with someone else, so she was probably concerned. Lisa recognized me the moment I stepped in. Her expression was not what I had expected. Instead of being concerned, she appeared irritated. What were you thinking when you ran out of here like that? She slammed the beer in front of me and began letting me drink it before I could say anything. You idiot. You had me quite worried. I need to finish delivering these drinks, but you better sit in that seat until I return. Lisa's statements were tempered for courtesy. She never used offensive language, especially with me, so I chose to be quiet. What was driving her so angry? She proceeded to glare at me and say comments while texting and servicing other customers. It took her approximately 10 minutes to do her work, and when she eventually stood in front of me, her gaze was intense, as if she was attempting to read my soul. She appeared to be attempting to calm down before speaking, as I sat there petrified with horror. What I assumed you were going to speak with AUI, but instead you ran away. What were you thinking? I couldn't shut up. You spent months, if not years, telling me how much you loved Courtney, and then you ran away without saying anything to her. But you forewarned me. You showed me where they were and warned me. What is this about? Damn it, Lisa. Courtney is the one person I adore above all else. I told you I was heading to Dallas to finally tell her how I felt and beg her to marry me in my heart. I had already committed my life to Courtney, the woman I had loved since we were children. I'd do anything to make her mine. When you showed me where she was with her boyfriend, I recognized she had probably gone with him. Lisa's attitude relaxed considerably, although I saw she was looking just past my shoulder rather than at me. I felt a loving hand on my back and heard a voice that sounded like it was from heaven. Is this how you truly feel about me, Ron? I've waited nearly 20 years to hear you say that. I swiftly turned around on the bar stool and Courtney hugged me. Our kiss was filled with a tremendous, passionate energy that I had never felt before. It felt like our hearts and minds had combined into a single love. It seemed as if we had been raised to a high degree of connection. Looking down on our union from above, after 3 marriages and numerous other relationships, it only took one genuine kiss for me to realize what my father had been trying to tell me all those years before. I was positive that Courtney was the one. She was the true love I'd always desired and needed. Amanda could not hold back her tears. When she returned to the bar, "You nearly lost the woman of your dreams again," lifted her eyebrows at me. Yes, he did. After he got over their impassioned display, I asked him what he was thinking. Performing a stunt like that. I told you she was with another man. Lisa appeared to be prepared to reprimand me again, but I noticed a glimmer of humor in her eyes. Then I told him he was an idiot for making assumptions without knowing the truth. I smiled as I felt her hands on my shoulders before she spoke. "Lisa, are you being severe on Ron?" Again, I turned to my love and drew her in for another kiss. Lisa chuckled for a few seconds before clearing her throat. "Hey, are you two looking for a room?" This blatant display of affection has made the other customers uncomfortable. Courtney grinned at her. "We will certainly make excellent use of a room in a few days, won't we?" "Sweetie." Amanda grinned, her cheeks gleaming from tears. "You two look great together." "Oh, sorry, Amanda. I want you to meet my fiancé." "Hello, Amanda." Ron's manners are slightly off. "I'm Courtney." Amanda's eyes flooded with joyous tears. "Courtney, it's wonderful to meet you. Ron has been chatting about you throughout the evening. I have to admit, if he had ended up with anyone other than you, it would have been a terrible story. It's remarkable how high school sweethearts end up together." "Ron, you have been talking about me. You're the only thing I'm interested in talking about." Courtney kissed me softly again. "Oh, you are so sweet." She then raised an eyebrow at Amanda. "I would not call us sweethearts." I did, however, emphasize that we were definitely best friends. We both wanted to be more than friends, but we couldn't figure out how to make it happen. Courtney chucked and dadded. Ron was a teenage boy and I was too serious to be the subject of his erotic experiment. Okay, she's right. Sometimes I wonder how different things might have been if I'd grown up sooner. I've always loved her, and I ended up with 3 women who were as gorgeous as she was but were hollow inside and could never compare to her. Well, Courtney, Ron was correct when he claimed you are excellent. Oh, you two are so wonderful. What counts most is that when I look into his eyes, I can see how close our hearts are. I know he loves me unconditionally, and I feel like the most CHY woman alive. Amanda grasped Courtney's hand and looked at us both concerned. Wait a minute. What happened to that other guy? Courtney smiled understandingly. There was no other boyfriend. That was my cousin, Paul. I was staying with him and his wife as I sought for a place to live. I intended to return home and hoped Tron would finally have the guts to ask me to marry him. Amanda smiled and wiped away some tears. You two are amazing together. I was hoping to have a chance with Ron. She laughed. But I see that isn't going to happen. I relocated here from California to start over and was looking for new acquaintances. Possibly a partner. I hope there are a few more Rons around my age. Lisa reached across the bar and placed one hand on my shoulder, the other on Amanda's. Amanda, your 3 new buddies right here. Courtney explained, yes. And you definitely need to attend our wedding on Saturday. Especially if you are new here. Oh, that's very nice. But I don't want to interfere. Come on, girl. Celebrating the weddings of 2 of your 3 new pals is not intrusive. We'd be angry if you didn't show up. In addition, practically everyone will be from the local area, and I'm sure you'll make a lot of new pals, all right. You convinced me. Ron darling, text her the information. You two certainly are a lovely couple. Isn't it a shame you both had to go through so much to get here? I can't speak for Ron, but I believe he needed his past experiences to figure himself out. As for me, I wouldn't swap my time with Mark or the happiness our 3 children have offered me for anything I owe Mark. So wishing things had gone differently with Ron is irrelevant, and it may not have worked out anyhow. I feel the time was ideal and God knows what he's doing. My love for Ron has always existed and is as strong as my love for Mark. I'm simply wrong to have had so amazing men that brought so much love into my life. That's very touching. It's fantastic that you're finally able to be together. It was not a miracle. It was more of a plan. I explained and Aubrey hit me on the head and laughed. Lisa and Aubrey worked behind the scenes to make it all happen. Lisa admitted that this is partly accurate. When Ron and Sam broke up, I contacted Courtney. Ron had already spoken with her, but that wasn't why I phoned. I wanted to know when they'd ultimately get together. Courtney took over the narrative with a chuckle. Mark had been gone for 11 months by then, and I was not ready to start a new relationship. I had pondered being with Ron previously, but I wasn't ready and I didn't believe Ron would be either, given how recent his breakup was. We spoke at least once a week and I could hear his misery and rage. So I instructed Carl to help Ron heal, because he was in the bar virtually every night and I'd check in on him when he called. I knew I wanted to be with Ron and I expected him to be ready. When I was, I jumped in when Courtney halted. After approximately 6 months, I discovered I couldn't think of anything or anyone other than Courtney. I even considered quitting my work and going to Dallas to establish my own business, hoping that Aubrey and I might build a future together. He had no idea. I was already planned to return to Kirkland. Be quiet, honey. I'm narrating a story. Go ahead and show off. So they had planned when Courtney would arrive at the bar to surprise me, and then he almost ruined everything by disappearing. Lisa, you ladies are always interrupting when a man is presenting his story. Sorry. Continue. As I already stated, that's when I nearly messed everything up. You know the rest. Courtney walked up behind me after Lisa had chewed me out, and it was like going from complete darkness to blinding light. When Courtney spoke before I could say anything or finish turning around, I received the most powerful, passionate kiss of my life for the first time. My heart felt like it was jolted by an electrical current. That was a fantastic kiss. Dear, every kiss with you is like that. Anyway, as we eventually parted ways, she gazed into my eyes and requested you tell her, honey. I asked, Ron, do you love me as much as I heard you tell Lisa? He was talking so sweetly about me, and I replied, I love you with all my heart and want us to be a family. Marry me, Courtney. That happened 4 weeks ago. Hold on, you planned a whole wedding in 4 weeks. Amanda, I tried for 16 years to acquire the woman I always desired. I knew she was the proper person for me all along and I wrecked up by making too many bad decisions. We weren't about to squander another second. The wedding was fantastic. I don't think anyone is more gorgeous than Aubrey. Amanda attended the wedding and spent a lot of time meeting new people, including Courtney's older brother who was unmarried. They've been dating for a few months and Amanda has become one of our best friends. I'm not Uncle Ron anymore. Now the kids call me Papa Ron. They asked if they may call me Dad. I told them I love them as if they were my own. But they are real. Daddy is special and they should always remember him as Father Papa and as ideal for me. Before the wedding, Courtney asked whether I wanted a prenuptial agreement. No way. Sweetheart. Do you mean everything to me? I don't need a backup plan. So 3 sheets to the wind isn't attempting a record. Certainly not being married to you is more than I ever deserved. My days dealing with cheats are finished. Perhaps one of our children will write a narrative about us someday. They might call it Only Took for Attempts or something amusing like that. Speaking about children, Mr. Riley, we need to build up a nursery. My previous relationships are long gone and no longer affect me. Now I can say it wholeheartedly, life is quite good. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.